Hello traders and potential future traders, Patrick Maldonado here, cryptocurrency trader and creator of TCE Trading. So in today's episode, I would like to summarize the standard trader's journey, highlighting both the first educational step and what to do after. I will be talking about what you should expect if you want to start learning how to trade, the topics you must cover, and what could you be looking forward to after your education. So before starting, I would appreciate if you leave a review and share the podcast. It supports me and really makes a difference. So guys, welcome back. Again, let's talk about your trading journey. What does a trading journey usually looks like, right? Like the typical trading journey from newcomer or beginner to actually profitable, or at the very least to knowledgeable about trading and what to do, right? So this is kind of like the first question that I'm gonna try to tackle in this episode of the TCE Trading podcast. The second question that I'm also gonna be trying to answer for you guys is, what do you do after your trading education, right? You spend all this time learning, you spend all this time, coming up with a strategy. And I have talked about the different topics, about, briefly what I cover in my course and what you should be learning. But what comes after? And this is going to be perfect for the former TCE trading students. Some of you guys that you have gone through the course, you have gone through the mentorship, you are also wondering, what's next. And of course, I've discussed with some of you what you could potentially do, but I wanted to do this episode so that people and other traders might know as well. So let's talk about the trader's timeline. And most likely, if you go through my course, usually when I'm, talking with new people doing this kind of free introduction, I talk about the success timeline or the trader's timeline. Basically, it's just in terms of time. How would it look like if you start trading? How long do you need to, educate yourself? And what's expected in terms of time for you to actually be able to trade and be able to start profiting in a very good kind of risk-averse manner. So you don't want to just go in like crazy, put positions and you just start gambling, right? You want to do it in a correct way. So in essence, I would say that it's kind of like a 6-month journey at the very least. So it's 3 months of education and 3 months of testing. Now, I've covered before more or less these 3 months of education. Usually what I do with TCE Trading and my students is I give them the course and I teach them, and that roughly takes about 2 months. And then on the last month is where you need more mentorship. You really start either doing a demo and forward test your strategy or continue doing your back testing. So this is what you want to do in these first 3 months. And I hope that you remember, because I'm pretty sure that in previous podcasts I've said that 90% of the traders lose money 90% of that time. I'm sorry, I'm butchering that. It's 90% of the traders lose money or lose their entire account, or 90% of their account in the first 90 days of trading. The reason, again, is because a lot of the people think that this is just a sprint, and in reality it's a marathon. One of the biggest things and the most difficult things is to really sustain yourself for the long run. It's really going through all of the drawdowns, all of the drawbacks, all of the important lessons and mistakes. So roughly this takes another 3 months, where you want to start, as I said before, with a small real account, but at the very least making it real, so that all the cognitive biases, all the types of tilt and all that is real and you can learn from that. So overall, I would say you're looking around 6 months and then after. So I'm gonna be talking about the first part, which is kind of like these 3 months of education. Most likely you already know what you really need to cover in terms of topics. And you can do this with my course, but if you do it from another course or even online for free, whatever you want to use as your education, be sure to really understand the background theory that you need. This involves the different financial markets. What are you going to be trading on? Basics of trading. We are talking about the different trading styles. If it's long term, if it's day trading, you have to choose that. We're talking about technical analysis, indicators, patterns. You really need all this information, which is all theory, right? It's not really practice. This is just the minimum you need to know in order to try and maybe be successful. Now, another thing, risk management. I did a episode just on risk management, right? Knowing how much you're exposing per trade and have a plan. And it's not only about how much you're exposing, it's also about all the different costs that you have. It's all about the swaps, it's all about the different spreads, it's all about the commissions, it's all about the platforms that you're using, because they have different kind of costs involved, and you have to manage and create a plan. Are you gonna risk 1%? Are you gonna risk 2%? Maybe 0.5%? That's all risk management, and you should be creating your own specific plan. Trading psychology. Again, I even spoke with Sammy. I hope that you heard that episode of the TCE Trading podcast. That was just genius. He's another very good trader. He focuses a lot on trading psychology. He's also a friend of mine. So if you haven't listened to that episode, please do, because there's a lot of real insights in there. But overall, trade psychology, we're talking about cognitive biases, tilts, how to tackle your negative mindset, because this is going to be key. And this is something sometimes I do struggle, to be honest. This is something that you continue learn as you go with trading, as you do more things, as you earn more, as you lose some. It's very important. Finally, in terms of education, just like last episode, it's really strategy planning and backtesting, defining and proving your edge in the market, to reduce the uncertainty, to help you be more confident on your own trading. Now, what happens after? What happens after your education? And the first thing that I want to say is that don't think that it's just like, go and study university, you finish, and then that's it. In reality, you still have to train yourself. You still have to educate yourself. Education is a never-ending course. You have to go learn more, adapt, and so on. So I hope that you don't have the mentality of, okay, that I go through a course and then I'm expecting to be successful, because that's not the case. You have to read more books. You have to read more financial news. You have to, just adapt to what's going on. But in terms of, you started your education, you went through all the theory, you did your backtesting, you did your demo, you are certain that you can do this, then what can you do? What are your options? And this is for some of my students, as well as anyone who was trading and, went through the course or any other course. So in my opinion, you have real two options. You can either be a retail trader or a prop trader, kind of leading more into the professional side of things. So retail trader is basically investing your own capital. And here the important part is potentially compounding your savings. What do I mean? Maybe you have only $1,000, okay? Maybe $1,000 is not a lot in terms of what you can make monthly, but if you have that account and you are working full time, maybe you can put $100, $200 per month, which is not really going to affect your whole financial situation. You put that into your trading account, and then you will continue trading there. So maybe you have 5% per month or something like that. If we talk about the first 4 months of trading, or first 3 months, let's say, you add $100 plus 100 plus 100, so it's $300. Plus, you've been doing 5% per month, which is around $50. So multiply times 3, you are having $450, which you can then start compounding. Maybe you want to compound monthly, maybe you want to compound quarterly. That's up to you. But the thing here, the important part, is that you are growing your account exponentially, slowly but exponentially, right? You're getting more money in there, you're trading bigger, you're earning a little bit more, and that's the way a retail trader should really look at trading, right? Not only mainly as a side income, not really a full-time living. Now, what you can also do is become a prop trader. I've also mentioned that There are proprietary trading firms. Basically, you work for them, they give you money, they fund you, and you split the profit. So you have bigger leverage with them, you have more leverage, you have a bigger account, but you split the profits that you can make. And this is another thing that you can do. You can apply for funding up to 10, 50, 100,000, and even more. So, having talked about this, you might be thinking, okay, if I want to go through the prop trading firm or the prop trader kind of pathway, then how do I get funding? And in order to get funding, there are plenty of prop trading firms which you should research. I mean, some examples which from what I've heard and from my experience, I've done research on this. FTMO is a big one out there, very competitive. I've worked for Alpha Chain. They also give you a little bit of leverage. I've done some research on Audacity Capital, and again, this is more for you to go and check yourself, do your research. This is not me recommending any of this. Really, it's just putting it some names that I know of, so that you have an idea of where to look for, or maybe other companies as well. In any case, what you really need to do is look at their requirements, right? Is there an initial payment? Are they charging you for memberships? Is it sort of a challenge how much you gotta pay? You really need to look at the specifications, because this is really where the concentration of importance, let's call it like that, is. If you don't really know how everything works in that specific company, then you're gonna be surprised, and you're gonna be potentially demoralized in the future if there's something that you were not expecting, and that things happen. That's just how it works. So if you have a working strategy and you can demonstrate to be profitable, you can get funding, which in reality leaves the risk up to them. Usually it's not just so easy as, I have a working strategy, and just tell them that, and here is your $100. Usually there's some challenge. Usually there's some kind of time frame for them to evaluate you, which is not easy at all. But once you pass that, once you get the funding, then that's when you can start reaping up the profits. In any case, traders and listeners, I hope that you enjoyed this episode of the TCE Trading podcast. Starting your trading journey is an important step to have either a side income or a full-time living. Trading can be overwhelming, but you don't have to tackle it on your own. Now, before I go, guys, I want to give a big announcement for the podcast, also for my channel, for the community, for the network. So this is the end of the TCE Trading podcast. And when I say it's the end of Series 1 or Season 1, whatever you want to call it. You're not really getting rid of me that easily. It's been around 3 months that I've been doing this podcast. Usually when I'm in a new endeavor, I really want to make it work at the very least for 1 year, right? I'm not like, 3 months, it didn't work, or not a lot of listeners, not a lot of huge, growth or what exponential growth, just like Bitcoin, you can think about it. I really want to do it for a long time because, that there's a lot of learning involved, and I've been helping a lot of people, and, that makes me happy when people send me a message, that's good content, thank you for helping me. That, it's kind of like a sense of purpose. In any case, I'm gonna be changing the format from now on. The reason is because this series 1, let's call it like that, is really more guided towards education. It's kind of like the whole steps that you need to go through in order to understand the basics of trading. Now, going forward, I will be talking more about my personal experience, potential reviews, brokers, companies, and topics of interest, cryptocurrencies, trading. This is where the most interesting part of the podcast is gonna be. So I'm also thinking about doing a crypto news recap potentially every Monday. So just a standard kind of like 10 minutes recap along my take on the headlines. I think that would be neat, so that you guys all are also up to date with what's happening in the cryptocurrency industry. It has been awesome doing this podcast, helping other traders improve. Again, that's the sense of purpose that I was talking about. And really, guys, the main way to help me and and this is talking about a personal level to you who are listening, is really try and share this to one, maybe two friends, people who you think they might find it interesting, just to give it a go, or maybe want to learn how to trade. It really helps me, putting a lot of effort. Of course, having a podcast is not free. I might give it for free, but that doesn't mean that I don't pay something to run it, to maintain it in the hosting and so on. So it really does help me help others, if you will. But in any case, if you would like to start learning how to trade, get a plus 30% discount with a code TCE podcast on my AB trading course in Udemy. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you in the next episode. Take care.